Hi, it's Shannon here from houseimprovements.com, and in today's video I want to show you what I would consider kind of my top 12 gifts for DIYers in your family for under, say, 30 bucks. We're dealing mainly with Canadian and US audience here, so of course us in Canada are going to pay a little bit more than $30 for a couple of these items, but for the most part most of them are well under $30. Before we get started, I just want to mention to you all that in case you aren't aware, you know, with our forum, with our Facebook page, Patreon, we've got all these different types of social media that you can stay in contact with us on and sign up for if you'd like. You can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't know what you're waiting for if you haven't, but just hit the subscribe button down here. Set up your notifications and YouTube will let you know every time we put something out new. So without any more delay, like I said, I've got 12 tools here. They could be quick gift ideas, stocking stuffers, that sort of thing, for almost any person that owns their own home, really. But you know, we are a DIY channel, so we'll say it's for the DIYers. I'm going to keep my favorite one for the very end, so stick around for that. But to start out with, and this might seem really basic, but we're going to talk about pencils. So typically, most people are pretty familiar with a normal carpenter's pencil, or I don't know, whatever kind of pencil you call this, standard pencil. The trouble with some of these is when you drop them a lot, the lead gets broken inside, and then you go to sharpen it, the tip falls off. Go to sharpen it some more, the tip falls off, and pretty soon you're left with this little wee 2-inch pencil. And you know, you haven't even drawn anything out yet. So the other thing for sharpening these too, you can use a knife. Not everybody's real keen on that. There are special sharpeners, but then you got to remember where the sharpener is all the time too, or carry it on you. So these are typically what all of us use. But what I've found lately, and I'm really actually quite enjoying them, is the Pica-Dry pencils. So they're like a really large mechanical pencil. It's got this handy sleeve. This is the typical round leaded pencil, much bigger than a normal mechanical pencil. You can, you know, put more lead out, put it right in if you want. There's lead you can buy to replace once this goes empty. The only thing this one's missing is some kind of an eraser. And they do have other markers and pens of this style, and I think they actually have come out with one with an eraser on it, but that isn't what I have. With this one, you've got the round end, and of course that wears down and you lose your point. So if you really need a sharp point, they've actually built in a sharpener right in the bottom here, which I use a lot, so it's really simple to sharpen your lead up. It's got a good clip. I always have it clipped in right inside my pants pocket usually, or right in my tool apron, so it works really well. And they do have this carpenter type pencil one as well, with the wider, larger lead that you'd be familiar with on a carpenter's pencil. Now for sharpening, really simple, but they just have this little piece of sandpaper right here on the end, so you can sharpen it right up to a point if you want. I haven't used this one as much. I find this one being a larger lead than most mechanical pencils, or even this normal number 2 HB pencil. It just lasts, it doesn't break off, it works really well. So that's my first pick on the gift ideas. Don't really remember exactly how much each of these is offhand, and of course it's going to vary depending where you're looking for it, but we are going to put links for everything down below in the video description, so check that out. Those will be Amazon affiliate links from our Amazon account, so we do get a little bit of a kickback. You don't pay any more, but we get a little bit of a share of it, so appreciate if you use those. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is utility knives. So this is a utility knife that I use all the time. This one happens to be Olfa, just a knife that I'm comfortable with, but there are other types. What I like about this type of knife is it's got these snap-off sections to the blade. So if this tip or end gets really dull, you can break it off and you've got a brand new set right there. I don't even know, I think there's 10 or 12 snaps in every blade. The other thing I find I use it a lot for is trimming things off, and I've got the blade fully extended now. Each their own discretion on that. You got to be careful because these are razor blades, razor sharp. So, but I do like the fact that I can extend this right out. There are other blades where you just got basically an individual blade like this, and they're usually reversible, so when it gets dull you can turn it around, you got one on the other end. But I prefer this style much better. When you do extend it out, you can set it to whatever you want and tighten this little knob. I just find the handles on these are nice fit in your hand. So number 2 was the utility knife. Number 3 are tape measures. So there's all kinds of different lengths. Most common you're going to see most of the time is a 25 footer, or if you're in Canada you're going to see an 8 meter, or even one that's 8 meter and 26 feet. So they kind of have both scales on there. You've got metric and imperial. So depending what you're comfortable with. So that's kind of the most common size. The one thing I find with a lot of these 25 foot or even 30 foot tape measures is they're getting really big now. These are the thinner ones. That's because that's what I like. They fit in my pouch better in that, but a lot of them they're like 1.5 or more thick. This is maybe 1.25 inches, and they're just so bulky. They're easy to hang on to because of that, but I just don't find them that nice. So I prefer a little more slim tape measure, and I use these lengths, this 25, 26 foot length the most. With all tape measures, they've got a locking mechanism here. You've got a belt clip on the back. Another thing to look for a quality tape measure, they're generally going to have 3, if you look right here, there's 3 rivets right in the end that hold the hook piece on. A lot of the less expensive and a little bit cheaper tape measures are only going to have 2 there. So if you want to get a little better quality, a lot of these tapes, and I work with these things every day, and now I have more than one, but I mean they'll last me for maybe a year. So if you want them to last, look for the 3 rivets in the end. Now there are other options. This one here is only like 12 feet. It does come with imperial and metric on it. So it's 12 feet and 3.5 meters. So again, it's just a little smaller case, a lot smaller blade. These ones typically are only going to have a couple of rivets, maybe even only one. They're just kind of more light duty, something you can throw in your pocket easy if you're running down to the lumber store. So there's that, and then something else is the 16 foot or 5 meter tape. And same thing, they all got the same options. This one actually does have 3 rivets, so it's a decent quality. And this is typically what I've got in my glove box or whatever, if I've got to jump out and measure something quick. So tape measures was my number 3. Number 4, we've got our hammers. So it doesn't matter, honestly, for most people, if you've got a little bit cheaper hammer, like this one. This was just my shop hammer. This is the hammer I carry every day on my belt. You've seen it in all my other videos. It's an East Wing. I don't know, this one's Brickco. I have no idea. I've never heard of that brand before. Don't know where I got it, but anyways, a good hammer really makes a big difference, or a decent hammer. Some things to look for is I prefer this type of claw, the nail pull here. It doesn't have as much angle on it as this one does. And I just find that this one's easier to use for pulling nails and that sort of thing. These are both, I think these are both 16 ounce. I'm pretty sure. They're too worn off to tell. 16 ounce for most people, unless you're framing all day, for most people these are gonna be all you need for a general purpose hammer. And again, we'll have links for all of this kind of stuff. We may not have specific links to the exact tool I showed you, but we'll have a general page and you can pick and choose based on your price range or whatever you want. So the next thing, so this is a non-contact voltage detector. Some people will call this a voltage meter, but it really doesn't read an amount of voltage. It just detects whether there's voltage in an electric wire or not. These are really handy, especially in demolition work or just general. You want to know if if a wire is live or not. And they work very easy. I don't have anything really to, actually I might be able to show you on this. Sorry, just pull this up here. So if you had a cord or any kind of wire sitting around and you thought you turned the breaker off but you aren't just sure, or maybe you want somebody to hold this on a live wire while you're clicking the breakers off to find which breaker this one's on. They work pretty well. Can you see the light there? My sound is really low on this, so usually they beep. I forgot this one, my sound isn't working very well on it, but you can see the end, I think, lighting up there. So it's lighting up constant. It's telling me there's a live wire in there. Okay, sometimes some of them will give a little flash just on contact. And that's just a false reading. This one flashes now and again just to tell you it's on. Unfortunately, I grabbed the one that doesn't make noise, but normally they have a really annoying, fairly loud beep, which is kind of nice, especially like I said, when you're trying to track down a wire. But so voltage, non-contact voltage detector is very handy. So we've got that one. What else do we have on our list here? Multi-bit screwdriver. So sure, you can go and buy a whole set of screwdrivers. You know, you buy a set of 20 different screwdrivers, right? There's all kinds of different sizes. Most of that set you're never going to need. What I find is these multi-bit screwdrivers basically have all the bits that you need. And if they don't, you can buy the individual bit and replace one on the screwdriver that you don't use that often with one that you do. This, I don't even know how you say this brand. PicQuik, I think. I don't know. I've noticed this screwdriver used with a lot of different brands on it. They look all the same to me, a lot of them, so I think it's just one supplier, you know, basically making the screwdriver and everybody's putting their name on it. I don't even know, this one's so wore off you can't even see the name anymore. So how they work is you basically have a selection of miscellaneous driver bits in here, and you take the one out that you're using, push it in the end, and it shoves out the next one that you want to use. Okay, so like on these ones here, I think you have, there's 6 in the handle, 6 different ones in the handle, plus the one you've got in here. So that's 7. Number 8, you actually have a 1/4 inch hex nut right here in the end. So if you've got a hex nut that you need to get off, like on a little clamp or something, you've got that, or a hose clamp. A lot of them aren't 1/4 inch though, but anyways, you do have a 1/4 inch driver there. The other function you have is if you have a, what is a 7/16 wrench. These guys make this end so you can put an actual wrench on it. So if you're really trying to get something out, you can be pushing down on the screwdriver and using a little bit of torque with the wrench on there as well. Okay, so you basically, you know, got at least 8 functions out of that one screwdriver. Now, as a 9th function, it's a bit holder, because every one of these bits you can use in your impact driver or in your drill, that sort of thing. Typically they don't come with as good a bits for use in impact drivers, but I use them all the time. I haven't broke one off yet, but they aren't really, I don't think, rated, at least that I've ever read, for impacts, but it is another use, and they're all kind of compact and in one place. So the multi-bit screwdriver. Now something else that every DIYer or homeowner needs is a set of pliers. There's always going to come a time where you're going to need one of these types of pliers. So we've got the basic lineman pliers at the end here, so you've got both the gripping area and the cutting surface in there. These are just your basic pliers, slip joint pliers. These ones are needle nose, plus they do have a cutter in there. These are, I don't know, I call these a water pump plier. I'm not even too sure what the exact name is. These might be the slip joint plier, but they're kind of adjustable for different sizes. And these are side cutters. So they've got a cutting surface all the way in there. So, okay, so set of pliers, you can usually buy these as a set. You can buy them individual, but might as well buy them as a set. And then speed square. So this is one of the items. There's a couple in this group that I'm showing you, but this is one of the items I have a separate video on for some of the functions of these speed squares. Some of the most common things I use this for is I'll put it on the edge of a piece of lumber and use it as a guide on my circular saw when I'm cutting 90 degrees or on a 45. Works either way. There's all kinds of graduations on here for finding angles, roof pitches, cutting rafters, all kinds of stuff. So even though it's fairly small and compact, which actually makes it easy to carry in your pouch, there's a lot of functions to this little speed square. So check out that other video. Maybe we'll put a link in the description. We'll put a link in the description for any videos we have on any of these tools as far as how to use them. So we've got our speed square. What are we at here? So number 10 on the list is you've got all these tools now. Now you need some kind of bag to carry them around in. This is just a small bag that I had kicking around. It's actually just one that I will throw a few odds and ends in when I need them, sort of thing. It's not one I carry every day. But because of its small size, it's easy to throw some stuff in and throw it in the back of the truck and away I go. Most of them will have some kind of pouches on the inside. This one does not, but it does have some pockets and pouches on the outside for sticking different tools and things. So a little bag, just something that you can carry some of your tools in, I think is a real asset as opposed to like a big bulky clunky toolbox. There are different sized bags with different options. You can get them big enough they even have wheels on the end like a carry-on travel bag. But just a little bag like this I find works quite well. Number 11 is a level. So these have a spirit bubble in them to check if anything's level. This table isn't level, but well, it doesn't really matter. So this is actually I think a 30-inch level, but really if you had anything from a 24 to a 48-inch level, it's going to come in really handy for all kinds of things. So whether you're building a deck or stairs or leveling, plumbing a wall, whatever, just a builder's level like that is perfect. Now, my number one tool, you see it in, I don't even know, probably at least 80% of my videos, is the Richard Red Bar. So it's just a little pry bar. It's got a little nail puller in the end here. It's got a prying surface on both ends. It's a very universal tool. Like I said, you see me all the time using this bar. There are some other bars very similar. What I find with them is they aren't quite as sharp as these ones are, which makes this bar nicer for getting under something when it's really tight. Some of them are just a little thick here. So it's just an all-around super bar. It does come in a few sizes, I think 3 altogether. So this I think is about the smallest one that they make. Then this is the mid-size, and then I think there's one that's like 12 inches or 15 inches. I could be wrong, there might even be more lengths. This is the size I use every day. This type of bar, I keep one of these right in my pouch. I know for sure you've seen me use it. I don't have a specific video on using this bar, but you've seen me use these in probably 100 different ways on different videos. So if you haven't, just start watching videos. You'll see how to use it. But like I said, for prying, for scraping, I've even used this end as a flathead screwdriver in a pinch. Like there's just all kinds of things that you can use these bars for. So that's by far my favorite out of all these. Now that being said, really none of these you can go without, honestly. You're going to need these if you're doing almost anything around the house. Once you do 2 or 3 projects, all these things are going to be needed. So that's kind of my list of tools under $12 or under $30, I should say. And hopefully you've seen something here that sparked your interest. And if you did, I'd appreciate it if you used the Amazon links that we put below in the description. And if not, yeah, you'll find them in a store somewhere near you. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next video. You thought I was done, didn't you? Looks like I forgot something. So the last thing I'm going to talk about are stud finders. So for any of you that were paying attention, I didn't actually have 12 tools in that original clip there because I skipped over the stud finder somehow. So stud finders, pretty self-explanatory. If you're working on a wall, you need to know where the stud is to hang a picture, for example, or you want to cut out the drywall and you need to know where that stud is so that you can cut down beside it, you're going to want to have a stud finder. So these all do the same things. I've got a video actually showing you how to use stud finders. They all really do the same kind of thing. This has become kind of my new favorite. I had a bigger version of this, actually probably in that stud finder video. I wasn't as impressed with it, but I found this smaller version and I actually think it works really well. So anyways, we're going to have some links in the bottom page or in the bottom of the description for all these items. One reason I do like this one as opposed to this little guy, this one's got a little wee button on the side, and sometimes if you're wearing gloves, that's kind of hard and fumbly to get at. This just has a really big button and a large handle right on the top. So it's easy, like you could mash it down with your gloves on with 3 fingers if you need to. It's just a nicer button to operate. This one does have a little bigger button on the side, but I just find this one easier to use with gloves. So I'm glad we realized before we posted the video that I forgot this item. So we do now have 12 items in the video. Thanks for watching.